Hey guys, welcome MPL fans and coaches alike. We are here bringing you the very first episode of Power Rankings for Season 4. It's me, Orabom, joined with my buddy.
Hi, I'm Buddy.
You gonna introduce yourself or?
What do you mean? You said I was Buddy. I introduced myself as Buddy.
All right, okay. Well, we were both previous coaches for it's Orabom and Blizz, or Ioku, or the Dairy Queen Blizzard, one or the other.
Damn, dog, Dairy Queen Blizzard.
But we're going to be going over both week 1 and week 2. We originally had a week 1 video recorded, but everything got corrupted. Things went wrong. Not everybody uploaded their videos. You know, all those shenanigans happened. But before we get into talking about the placements of each player, first of all, no to all of our friends out there, because we're friends with a lot of you. No hard feelings. This is all professional. Number 2, your placement isn't based on how high your differential is, if you won or lost, any of that shenanigans. It's purely based on how well you played, which means, and also your reasoning behind your plays, how you prepped, your matchup knowledge in general. So, and another thing we want to throw out there, that for the most part, nobody played really poor. It was actually really, really difficult making this list. The only ones that were like kind of for sure were the top 2 based on their performance and their explanation and everything like that. Everything else was so close. But yeah, we have a lot to talk about. So we're going to try our best to not stretch this out too much. But yeah, everything sound good to you, buddy?
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. I don't have, never mind, I found it. I was going to say, I don't have that original list of who was like when and stuff like that, but I have it now. It's here in my face. I see it, so we're good.
All right, so we got 16 coaches to go through. 2 players we didn't see have their matches so far. It was Dench versus Fog. So those are going to be only based off their week 1 match that we saw. And saying that, number 16 for our power rankings of all 16 players is going to actually be Fog, coach of the Maritime Mantines. And it's really simple. I don't want to make this too long, but it's the fact that there was little to no calcing, lack of knowledge, and just pure misplays that got him down here to last. Like the biggest thing that kind of like ticked me when I was watching the matches was that he clicked Toxic after he set up his own terrain. And to me, I was like, there has to be a reason why, right? Because like maybe Blake, because he battled Blake that week. Maybe Blake had a flying type or something like that, and he was predicting that. But no, there was nothing. He just hit Toxic, completely forgetting that he set up his own Misty terrain that stops statuses. So that was a big one. Let me see if I can find the rest of the notes I have for him. Oh, and he has return on his Beware, but I guess he forgot to maximize happiness, which is fine. You know, those things happen. But the thing that really bothered me about that was that he clicked it again later in the game, even though resisted fighting type moves probably would have done more, because, you know, there's still actual base power behind that. So that was another thing that kind of bothered me there. But overall, like he played the best that he could considering the matchup. But that's going to be our number 14 or number 16 spot.
So
and now
I know we because we didn't have Blake's and their match the first time we recorded this. I don't have that updated spot of where are those 2 placed. If you don't mind, you can just Discord it to me or whatever. That way I'll know.
Oh yeah, I sent you the for week 1, because this is I'm talking about both weeks combined right now.
Oh, okay. But, well then I need that one.
This is the final list.
I need that one.
Yeah, I sent it to you. That was the most recent thing on Discord.
Okay, I see now.
Yeah, right above my question.
It's here in my face.
It's all right, guys, professionalism, but we're kind of crunched for time because nobody wants to upload their games on time. Talking to you, Pat. But anyways, so for number 15, we have Eidenberg Knight, coach of the, who would have guessed it, Eidenberg Dragon Knights. Do you want to talk about their week 1 game?
We can do that, man. We can do that. So let me go ahead and pull up mine. Actually, I don't have anything. I lied to you. Anyway, so the Eidenberg Dragon Knights were the ones that had the really cool Infestation Toxapex. That was something that was, No,
that was...
Yes, it was.
That was Ashton. That was his opponent.
Lies. Well, then who's the route? But Ashton didn't have the Garchomp, did he?
He did.
Oh my god, I didn't have anything on Dragon Ice then. Okay.
He was the one.
Okay, hold on.
No, we talked about it for the whatever. We talked about it in that failed video. But he was the one that brought the Dragonite, which I thought was a really, really cool bring against Ashton because it actually put in so much work against his opponent. But he forgot about speed tiers. let himself get HP iced into the red with the Dragonite that he could have, set up Swords Dance and proceeded to Oko his entire team. But he also left it in against something that was faster to finish him off. So, like, I say this all the time, like, a weak Pokemon a weakened Pokemon that can sweep is still a Pokemon that can sweep, no matter, even if he has only 1 HP left. If you can win with that Pokemon, you should keep that Pokemon alive. And Ashton did not do that. And that was a huge misplay to me. He just kept sacking off all of his possible win cons, that did work. And for instance, like Sandslash was doing a really good job wall breaking. You remember the Icicle Spear Sandslash?
Yeah.
I know you really liked it.
Yeah, I did.
And he just let it die to Galvantula's Thunder for no reason.
I mean, maybe he felt that he could survive, and somehow not die.
No, he just forgot that he didn't outspeed. maybe like I remember watching his video and hearing things like that though. And but the thing is, like, that bothered me because he had options for sacking off Pokemon. Like he had Volcanion that couldn't touch his team because he has Toxapex. Like he had Sludge Bomb on the Volcanion, which was already kind of rough bring because he should have brought Earth Power. But he had a Pokemon that really couldn't do really well, like breaking down his core. Breaking down Ashton's core.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but he kept it alive for whatever reason till like it was one of his last Pokemon, and he couldn't do anything with it in the end. So, that kind of just got repeated for week 2. He had all the tools he needed to win, but like the lack of calking, lack of checking speed tiers, and just literally just throwing away win cons that could kind of like put him down at number 15. But yeah, that's going to be number 15. Number 14, though, is going to be Blue Rogue of the Grimsy Grimers. You got that? You got that ready?
I think I do. Let me scroll down. Let me get it for you, man. Let me get it. I got you. Mimikyu's Lord, that is all. No, I'm just playing. Oh,
the Mimikyu, dude. This was such a good game. The first week 1 game, he played it pretty well.
He did. I mean, there were a couple of misplays, just based on, I guess, Rogue's performance and stuff like that. But other than that, it was pretty good. The one thing that I think we both noted it down was that he was forgetting about speed, and I want to say like the speed tiers in general, but just like something wasn't as fast as he might have thought it was. But he did lose a win check because of that. And then you had something?
Oh, the Rogue. I feel for you, my man. That play rough miss was huge. I feel so bad because he was battling Verd and he missed the play rough against the Zygarde, which the Zygarde then proceeded to continue to destroy his team because it was such a good Pokemon against them. Mm-hmm. So rest in peace. But at the same time, he forgot that Zygarde had E-Speed and lit his Greninja that could have brought back the game for him take a huge E-Speed to the dome.
Yeah.
Which was pretty bad. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, losing Greninja is probably one of the biggest things right there. Like, that's just something
so good. It was so good against his opponent. And the fact that, like, I mean, like he had options. That's what bothers me. Like, he has options. He just completely forgot about it. As far as week 2 goes, I like what he brought. Like, he brought Quick Feet Jolteon against Turbo. He didn't give it a Toxicorp, though, because, like, Turbo has Sand Rush on his drill. So, like, the prep was really cool. I like what he did. But he didn't really kind of follow through with his own prep. And then he also sacked off his Amoonguss to an Ice Punch on Conk. See, maybe to him, he didn't see it coming. But whenever you see a Pokemon like Conkeldurr that has all these elemental punches, and specifically after they've already used the attack Thunder Punch, my first instinct is to go, oh, he probably has Ice Punch too. Because, Bolt Beam, that's like a thing. And he needs something to hit Amoonguss, so why wouldn't he have Ice Punch? But he just didn't bother. He didn't bother like looking or not looking. He didn't bother scouting for it. That's the word I'm looking for. And because of that, he lost the biggest wall against Turbo's team, being that Pokemon. So, which just sucks, is it's a Sporemon, which is essentially a free kill when you put something to sleep. Like, he just can't do anything.
What is that called? If is that like Bolt Fist?
I don't know. The bolt fist.
Like I don't, like bolt beam
you
is
have
a
to put bolt
thing,
beam.
but like, what do you call it with punches?
I don't know, dude. Let us know in the comments. Think of a clever name. Oh, and then so that's going to be number 14. We're going to try to rush through this because we actually are limited on time. But number 13, actually the other person that didn't get a chance to upload his second week match, so we don't know what went on there. But it's actually Denchby, coach of the Viridian Beedrills. Denchby, my man. You know what? You take this away, Blizz. You know about that game.
I know about that game.
Him versus Mega. Oh. Yeah, it was him versus Mega. Remember?
You sure I know about that game?
I hope you know about that game.
All right, man. So the same thing that I'm going to say about Mega's play is pretty much the same thing I'm going to say about Dench's. Dench played really good. I mean, like, really good. But, and I can say this because Dench is actually, like, I've seen his battle now. Anyway, so Dench played too safe. That's, like, the biggest thing that just, as a player, as Mega, to my knowledge, is not as, I want to say, experienced or knowledgeable in the realm of Poke battling that Dench is. And that's not throwing shade at Mega by any means necessary, so please don't take it that way, Mega. If you do watch this, it's just that, like, facts are facts and Dench knows more, but that's not a bad thing. But in Dench's case, he did not use that to his advantage. So going against an opponent who might not know everything or might not know a lot of things, you can take advantage of that by making more bolder predictions or acting more aggressive or pulling back. It's just, there's ways to go about a battle when you know your opponent or when you know your opponent has a limited mindset. And Dench he didn't do that. Now, playing safe does, I guess, warrant you a win if that is the case.
But I am going to say that because Dench kind of he played fairly safe in the beginning of the game. Like not switching out because he didn't fear things, I guess. But at the same time, he played very straightforward. Maybe safe's not the word, but like straightforward is the word. And because of that kind of rewarded him. I mean, Mega not having HP Ice in the beginning of the game because of misgenning was like one thing. But like Dench really took a lot of advantage of the first half of the game before Mega brought that back. He did lose that game. Spoilers, so go watch all the games first. But the thing that really bothered me about Dench and why he's all the way down here was that he seemed to not prep at all whatsoever for a possible Scarf Kyurem. Now, Mega did bring the Z Hail Kyurem, but it's essentially the same thing as a Scarf Kyurem, right? It's just a +1 speed Kyurem, which is the same thing as bringing a Scarf. But Dench's team had nothing at all to counter a Scarf Kyurem in his team. So that was just a bad prep on his part, which is why he's going to be all the way down here at number 13. But moving on, we have number 12, which is actually a good friend of ours, Pterodactyl, Patter A Dactyl, coach of the Sin City Star Raptors. Now, Pat, I'm sorry that you're all the way down here, but we have good reason for it. And we actually just finished watching your week 2 game, so luckily we haven't recorded this. You had to upload it all the way on Thursday. But for week 1, though, I do want to say, I'm going to try to run through this, but Pat, your prep was good, but you're thrown off by your opponent. Turbo kind of played you with obvious stuff that you didn't see coming, which is kind of like a lack of knowledge on your part, a lack of like looking into your opponent's team, more than just like looking at your opponent's team going, speed here, enough attack to Oko here, but like looking at what your opponent could bring against you, like you have to put yourself in your opponent's shoes when you're prepping. And the things were you kind of got tricked by the Gothitelle with your Reuniclus, which is kind of a common thing that Gothitelle does. They trap people, they trick them, they make them useless. That's like Gothitelle's gimmick. Mm-hmm. And then you not going for a grass type move against Manaphy right away, because Manaphy's fat. Everybody knows Manaphy's fat. You're never gonna Oko a Manaphy if you're a Tangrowth, unless you're a Specs Tangrowth, and you weren't a Specs Tangrowth. So Manaphy knew he could eat any hit, so it stayed in, and then you didn't knock it out, and then your next attack couldn't knock it out because you didn't weaken enough with knockoff. You should have just gone for a grass type move. Maybe you were feeding the Togekiss, but knocking off a Togekiss doesn't really accomplish much. You're better off like going for like Leech Seed or anything, but you were also Assault Vest, so I don't know. Probably would have been in your best interest to try to 2-hit KO the Manaphy while you could, because most Manaphys want to set up anyways. Also, you didn't have any Rapid Spinners for that first game, and you brought a Life Orb Tornadus. You generally don't want to bring a Life Orb Pokemon like Tornadus when you don't have Spin, because every time you attack, you come in and attack, you're losing 35% of your health, and you're only regaining 33%. So you're still losing health throughout the game without having any hazard removal. Plus, not to mention, Turbo had a bunch of different ways to set up hazards against you. So not bringing hazard removal is pretty bad. And not to mention, I'm talking a lot, but I have a lot to say about Pat. He had a Kabutops in his draft, and Kabutops beats a lot of Turbo's team, and could spin at the same time. So not bringing Kabutops kind of blew my mind when I saw that. Although I did like Scarf Buzzwole, but you didn't take advantage of it until late in the game. I get that you were probably trying to hide it, but there were many opportunities where you could just bring in Scarf Buzzwole, get your free kill, switch out, and just do that a couple of times. And that's your week 1 game. Your week 2 game, you battled Baizer. I did like your prep there. Your prep there is really, really strong. Although you kind of... I guess, once again, this goes back to lack of knowledge, like I mentioned about previous people. You put yourself in position to really easily lose against a possible HP ground Raichu in the electric terrain, because your team didn't have much to deal with that. A lot of your Pokemon got weakened. You didn't keep them on high enough health to prepare for it. Luckily, Baizer misplayed enough to where he didn't have enough terrain turns, or he didn't give himself enough terrain turns to win. But the Scarf Physical Nidoking, that was amazing. Do you have anything to say about his week 2 battle?
So we're talking about Pat still, right?
Yeah, still Pat.
Right, so Pat Scarf Nidoking, I like. Definitely one of the better things that I've seen in that match. I'm trying to think of like Pat and not Baizer, because I kind of like mixed the both of them together in that battle with all my notes. Yeah. But
he froze the Scizor.
Yeah, he did freeze the Scizor. So that was like really clutch. That's pretty lucky, but still really fucking clutch. And then the fact, just like, that really helped you, because Scizor was actually the Kyurem counter. And if you didn't freeze that Scizor, you wouldn't have been able to do the things that you done with Kyurem. But speaking on the Kyurem, because I like zoned out while you were talking, and I apologize for that. But I don't remember. Did you talk about Kyurem? No? Yes?
I did not.
Okay, cool. So I'm right. All right. So your Kyurem play. There was a play where you went for Earth Power twice against the Gliscor. One, when you thought he was going to switch into Scizor, but to my knowledge, you had HP Fire. If you 100% were ready to commit to Earth Power, you should have been 100% ready to commit to HP Fire for 2 things.
Was that right? I don't know if he had HP Fire.
I thought that's what he said before.
No. I remember the same issue, but here's the thing. Pat, know your numbers. Ice Beam is base 95, if I remember correctly. So after Stab and then after Resistance, your base power on Ice Beam is 71.25. Earth Power's base power is 80. So the fact that you went for Earth Power at all in that game was kind of bad. Whether you're predicting Tapu Koko or not, you're still a Kyurem. You still 2-hit KO his whole entire field. There's no reason for you to overpredict with a Pokemon that is that strong, that has that strong of an attack. After Resistance, when you hit the Scizor, you're still hitting it almost as hard as an Earth Power does. So any sort of prediction is not really necessary. You gotta be able to weigh the options whenever you're predicting something. Like, is it worth predicting for those 8 extra base power points when it's already a frozen Scizor? Like, things like that. Just keep that in mind in your future battles. Be sure to do the math in your head before you do things like that. But that's going to be it for Pat. Ooh, I don't know. Do you want to talk about our number 11?
Yeah, I got it. Oh wait, did I see week 2's? Yeah, I did. Okay, I remember it. Wait, who did he go against? Who did he go against in week 2?
He went. I think he went about what's his name? Dark Devil.
Okay, there we go. All right, cool. So Lugia, Mega Lugia, guys, coach of the Bayern Munchlax. Is that what it is? Bayern Munchlax. Probably. I'm pretty sure it's Bayern. Now, starting with week 1, like I said in the battle with Bench, Lugia played very frantically. Just like he didn't. Just the way I said in the first my own notes, he was very. I don't want to say scared, but not confident. So like unconfident, non-confident, whatever. Not confident in his ability to play the game. He was starting the game off and he's like, okay, if I do this, then this is this. And then he talked about his misgen. And it felt like because he had a misgen, the entire game was fucked for him. And it just, after, I think play 2 actually, he was talking about how he basically lost the game right after that, and he ended up winning the game. But the fact of the matter is, when you have that kind of mindset, it doesn't really help you as a player. It doesn't really help anyone watching it, I guess, either. Because then you start making bad plays. You make plays based on, I'm already going to lose. Let me hurry up and get this game over with, compared to how can I win this game? So in a league game, that's something that you want to focus with. Now, as far as your plays go, everything was kind of in the middle, like subpar, I guess. Like nothing was too bad. Nothing was too good. The one bad thing I guess I'd say about week 1 was what do you have out? The Black Kirim, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
Oh, and he went for hail twice.
And so you already had the speed boost. There was no need for you to go for hail again. I mean, I guess you might have wanted like guaranteed blizzards, but at that point, had your opponent killed you, you would have lost. Like,
I think he said like he wanted to keep his speed boost.
Yeah, because he didn't realize that he kept the speed boost from one hail. But I mean, it's a stat boost, you know, so it's gonna stay until you switch out or die, or they take it away.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like, Mega played well. He brought it back in the second half of the video, but that goes back to what I was mentioning earlier for the past couple of people. It's just a lack of knowledge. You've got to know this stuff before you get into a game. It's like you're going into a test and then you just don't know half the information. Like, I don't know. Like, there's really no excuse for lack of knowledge in my eyes. I mean, he played well. I'm not going to take that away from him. But for week two is a whole other can of worms. I'm gonna have to give my boy Mega some constructive criticism real quick. Mega, why did you do what you did in week 2?
Now, can you tell the people what he did? Because I mean, maybe they don't know what he did.
Okay. So this is just a personal thing, real quick, and I know me and Mega were cool, so I can tell him this. Don't ever bring substitute life orb ever again. It's just not a good set. Killing yourself that fast, that quickly, and then getting nothing out of it. Not very good. So he didn't play very well with his Zoroark. Now, Zoroark was a cool bring. I mean, it's League format. Anything could be good in League format. And that could have been good if he fought the right Pokemon, but he did it like really, really, really early in the game. Like, he just led with it. And he attacked Mantine, which ended up boosting up later, and Florges, which ended up, not doing much for him. And then it died. So that goes to show he brought like a million setup mods this game, but he kept setting up in the wrong time. Fraligator was a big one because he could have won with Fraligator on his own. You can even hear it from Dark Devil's perspective. He thought he lost the game right there.
Yeah, like had he basically played Fraligator better, or I'm not gonna say better, but just made the right call with Fraligator on particular turns, that would have been GG.
Yeah. Now, real quick, Mega, I'm gonna tell you something. Don't ever Dragon Dance in front of a Florges. I know that you were like predicting the Protect. You went for Wish. You were 100% predicting the Protect. Cool reads. You're trying to be a really pro player. I get it. I understand. But that was unnecessarily risky because you have a Fraligator, a bulky water type. It's pretty naturally fat. So you want to keep it at high HP. So if you're in a situation where after your Dragon Dance, you don't kill something, you can tank the hit and kill it in the next turn. But even though you could have knocked your opponent out with a Waterfall, you decided to Dragon Dance instead, predicting the Protect. Because of that, you got severely weakened with your Fraligator, putting you in range of any sort of revenge kill. If you were fearing Focus Sash on Pokemon, you should have kept yourself at a full health, things like that. I know he was fearing Focus Sash on Nihilego, which is why he didn't stay in to knock it out, which is a fair thing to be fearing. I 100% understand that. But once again, if you didn't let yourself get weakened, you wouldn't have been put in that situation because you would have been able to tank a Sludge Wave or a Power Gem. I think Sludge Wave is the strongest attack you could go for against you. Oh, Thunderball. You probably would have been able to tank one Thunderball unless it's like Specs, but then you could just like kind of scout throughout the game to figure out what it is. But yeah, you had options. And you had a Light Screen Rotom. Light Screen Rotom put in so much work that game because most of his main attackers, like his sweepers and stuff like that, they were special attackers. If you set up Light Screen and then set up behind the Light Screen, putting yourself in position to win the game, that would have helped you win that game, but you never did that. Like, Light Screen Rotom was the last Pokemon to come out before you lost. So that was one thing that bothered me. If you brought that out and then set up Dragon Dance, you probably would have won that game because Fraligator won that game pretty much by itself. But yeah, I mean, he still played that game relatively well considering the matchup, but there's always room to improve. And speaking of improvement, let's talk about number 10, Carney. Coach of the Vancouver Stealth Rocks. Let me tell you, dude, before we decided to add week 2 into this, you were really low on our list because you just kept making these weird plays early in the game in week 1. You kept using substitute. You used substitute turn 1, which was odd, and then you kept using substitute throughout the game. You had nothing to deal with Bulu. You tried to make all these plays, but you didn't consider the other options that could have happened. Now, granted, Lynx did bring a really cool Bulu set that did work around you, but you didn't really play around the Bulu very well. You didn't consider possibilities, and because of that, that put you way back down. You were way behind that game. But week 2, you brought it back, dude. You played that game incredibly confidently. You had that really cool Z Sandstorm Heliolisk that just punched holes in your opponent's team, setting you up for a late game sweep with the rest of your Pokemon. And I want to applaud you for that because that is the way to play the game. So because this is like a combination list of like multiple weeks and everything like that, it's going to be this way throughout the whole season where like nobody's going to jump up 4 or 5 places at a time. I'm going to put you at number 10. You were a confident player week 2. You had excellent timing on your Z moves, and you knew exactly how to win the game through wall breaking so that your other mons can sweep later, which was a complete change from week 1, where week 1 you kind of just didn't do that. I don't know your reasoning behind it because you didn't commentate the battle. But yeah, there you go. So that's going to be number 10. Number 9. Oh, let's talk about Baiser. Number 9 is going to be Baiser, coach of the San Francisco 49ers. You want to talk about it? You want to talk about Baiser? About his week 1 match? Or do you want to talk about his week 2 match?
I mean, well, okay, so we kind of already watched week 2. Yeah, Brave Bear play was wild. Anyway, okay, so all right, so week 1 was odd. Like compared to week 1 compared to week 2, Baiser played like a hell of a lot better compared to week 1 and week 2. And I mean by that in week 2, week 1 it was just like I said, it was really odd. Some plays I understood or I could think about it and like, okay, you know, that makes sense. But then other plays, they were just like, nah, I wouldn't have done that there. Or, you know, like that's not really a good idea, you know, and it hurt me. I mean, I loved the match. It was a really good match, but it hurt me to see some of the things that he's doing because normally I don't see Baiser making, I don't want to say bad plays, but just not the best plays for situations like that.
Yeah, like that turn 1 play.
With the close combat.
Where, like he led with Staraptor and his opponent led with a Chansey. Now, there's not much a Chansey can do to a Staraptor. It could Thunder Wave it if he wanted to be like a turn 1, just really wanted to cripple the Staraptor. But his opponent, his only switch in to a close combat that wouldn't have taken a clean chunk of damage is Salamence, who still would have taken a nice chunk, but not a huge chunk. And the thing is, like, maybe he was predicting Salamence to come in or something like that, which is why he U-turned, but you could have clicked close combat and then switch into your all-around wall that completely 100% walls Salamence every single time, which is a defensive Suicune, which you had. You had the defensive Suicune in the back. You had your answer. But instead you U-turned, giving and Chansey just stayed there to set up his rocks. Now, Chanseys are usually going to set up rocks as they can survive any one hit most of the time. And you could have 2 KO the Chansey or put it in such a weakened position to where it can't come back in to recover. And because you didn't do that, and you chose to click U-turn, which once again, you don't always have to do those kind of things. Like over predicting like that is never necessary when you're in such a good position. But because you didn't do that, Chansey ended up causing you a lot of troubles throughout that game. A lot of troubles. There was that. I did like the fact that you preserved your Sash Alakazam to deal with the setting up Salamence, which I thought was a great play on your part. So good job there. But yeah, I mean, there was those small things, like one misplay can really change the way the whole game works, which is exactly what happened for week 2. Now, Baiser, my boy Baizy, the San Francisco 49ers coach, he played that week 2 game really, really nicely. Now,
I just want you to know, Baiser. I just want you to know you are receiving aura praise right now. That is a very, very grand thing. You need to take that into consideration and appreciate it. I just want to throw that out there. You know, now you can continue, man. You can continue.
All right. Now, Baiser unfortunately got frozen by a Kyurem's Ice Beam, which sucks because that was like his one answer to Kyurem besides outspeeding it with Alolan Raichu. Now, overall, Baiser played that game really well, but he had one huge, well, one small misplay and one huge misplay. Now, first of all, I'm surprised he didn't click Bullet Punch against the Kyurem whenever he was frozen to try to thaw out. Because maybe that would have knocked it out. Maybe like a crit would have happened. There's options. I don't know why he decided to like not do that. Because like, you want to thaw it as soon as possible, right? Because you need that Pokemon. But he didn't do that, which is like whatever, I guess. But the biggest misplay was the fact that Baiser didn't see something. Pat's team was so ridiculously, insanely, crazy, just horribly weak to Alolan Raichu. And after you got knocked out by Nidoking, your Gudra got knocked out by Nidoking, you forgot the possibility that Nidoking could be scarfed. I'm assuming this is what happened because your video never went up. Your video got corrupted, so rip the dream. But I'm assuming you didn't realize that the Nidoking was scarfed. I mean, you don't have a reason to realize it at that point, but at the same time, the possibility should have been in your head. And because this is like a 100% win con for you, instead of doing that, what you should have done is you should have gone into your Tapu Koko, switched out to sack off your Staraptor, and then after your Staraptor dies, go into your Raichu, and then proceed to sweep. And then once the terrain runs out, switch right back into your Koko, let it die till whatever hit comes in, go back into your Raichu, and proceed to sweep again. Because you won that game. But because you didn't do that play, you lost that game. So you've got to be able to be more aware of the game standings instead of just like what's in front of you. That's more important. You got to play for the late game. You got to see what's going to happen. You got to see your 100% win con and take for it, because that was your 100% win con. There was nothing you could do. An Assault Vest Tornadus died. I've never seen an Assault Vest Tornadus die like that, but it just died. Yeah. You set up Stealth Rocks at a really appropriate time. You played that game really well, but that's what put you here at number 9. It is a combination of both your week 1 odd plays and your week 2 plays that put you down here. Otherwise, you'd be a lot higher if this was just week 2.
I told you, man. It's that electric terrain. It's powerful, bro.
Electric. I was sitting here. Me and Blizz were watching the game together. I was like, "There's no way Tornadus dies to a Thunderbolt," and it just dropped, and we were both like, "What?"
That HP bar went down, man.
It just dropped. I was surprised. But yeah, so number 8 is actually going to be Verd, coach of the Tampa Bay Frogadiers. There's not really too much to say about this. The reason why he's down here is he played the game pretty well. He won his first week 1 game. But the thing that made me really upset about the game is that he left in his Zygarde, which literally sweeps his opponent's team. He left it in front of a Mimikyu to break his I guess whatever it's called, disguise. Mm-hmm. And then he would have died to a Play Rough. But he got that lucky, and I mean clutch, lucky 10% chance to miss, because I am like highly up there in the opinion that he could have lost that game if Mimikyu died. Now, obviously, anything could have happened. Changes, like plays would have been changed completely. But that Zygarde did so much for him that game that I have a strong belief that there would have been a chance he lost if he landed that Play Rough, which is why he's at number 8. Week 2. Week 2 is weird too. He actually played against Carney, which is a really, really cool, fun game to watch. He played really poor around the Heliolisk. He did not handle the Heliolisk well. Let me see. I have notes somewhere here. Here it is. Like he lit, like, because like he had a way to beat it, right? Mm-hmm. He had the Ninetales to set up Hail to weaken it so that he could knock it out with a Scarfed Victini. Start Victini's U-turn, I believe it was, or like Victini could live a hit and knock it out with U-turn. I think that's what it was. But before he did any of that, he let his Cofagrigus get weakened. He sacked off Raikou, I guess predicting him to miss a Focus Blast or hoping he didn't have a move that can knock him out of that range. And then he went into Ninetales to sack it off to go into Victini. So he lost a mon and a half extra than what it should have, which put him way behind the game. Even though, it was fairly obvious that he could have done that, especially if he was calcing. I don't know if he was calcing. I only saw his opponent's side of the field. But just based on that, I usually watch the games muted for the most part, just so I can get like the outside look of the game as opposed to the inside look, because sometimes the inside look kind of puts you in a wrong mindset, because you gotta like sometimes people talk about their plays and they're kind of going in the wrong direction when talking about it, so I don't like being distracted by that. I like, if I feel like there's a questionable play, I'll listen to what they have to say about it, but yeah, there's that. Anyways, that's number 8. number 7. You want to talk about Pokey Rob as number 7, coach of the Austin Toros?
Austin Toros. Okay, guys, so today we're gonna talk.
I'm just playing. Anyway. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, he's the one with the Tapu Bulu, right?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. Hold on.
Who's got that?
No, yeah,
he's
got
that
Bulu.
Bulu.
He's the one with the Bulu. Yeah, he's got the one.
All right,
with the
man,
Bulu.
Rob, that Bulu is
got the
fucking sick as
Bulu.
fuck.
Dude,
I mean,
that week 1 Bulu was
sick.
amazing.
That was fucking like I'm throwing up in my mouth right now while I'm talking. That was fucking sick, bro. I'm telling you
In a
right
good
now,
way.
it was so
In a good
fucking
way.
good. HP Fire, like a special Tapu Bulu. Like who runs that? Who thinks of that
Brought
shit?
Dazzling Gleam and HP
Right?
Fire.
And then had the
And just
audacity
proceeded-
to actually predict the shit and get it over with. Like, god damn.
It was his only way, man. He could only get that off if he got those strong.
But he
predictions, which
got it, man.
off.
That turned the entire
boy.
game around for me in my head. I was like, yo, you know what? I would have quit. Had I been in that game, I would have quit. I was like, you know what? You got it. Immediately you won. That was the most stellar play I've
telling you,
seen in a
man.
long time.
And that's wild because like week 1 was crazy because he knew when to predict. I always say this in a lot of my videos, high risk, high reward plays. You want to make sure that most of your plays, if you're going to predict, low risk, high reward. And Pokey Rob completely understood that. Now he didn't really understand that against the Kamo, where he could have died to a poison jab if it outsped him. I think he knew he was going to survive 1 poison jab unless it was banded, and if he was banded, he got knowledge at the very least. But he knew that if he went for HP Fire against the Pokemon that was out before the Paper Cup Pokemon, whatever it's called. What's it called again?
Kartana.
It wouldn't have mattered that much because he wouldn't have died. He would have been in relatively high health. He still could have clicked Horn Leech to get his health back up. But he just went for it because he knew that he would have been safe to do so, and he got a high reward from it, and that matters a lot to me. He played confidently. He played knowing those laws of averages, I guess. You know, I'm just kind of talking right now. But week two is sad. Week 2 is sad. I guess he just kind of forgot that Salamence can get fire type moves. He led Fortress against Salamence, and he just left his Fortress in. And turn 1, he was way behind because he left his Fortress was taken all the way down to 1 HP from a flamethrower, and there's not much you could do with a Fortress at that point. Now I will say this: Pokey Rob is up really high in the list at number 7 because he played excellently to bring himself back.
Yeah.
He kept playing. He had strong predictions. He knew that he was in the back, so he had to make up for it. So he kept playing aggressively. He was really aggro the whole game. Well, not the whole game. The first half of the game, put himself back in the position. But somewhere along the way, he just kind of stopped playing that aggressively. He put himself way back. He sacked off Pokemon that won him the game, like Terrakion was the big one that I don't really understand why he sacked off. Once again, it goes back to what I say before. If a Pokemon's at low HP, as long as it can come in and not die, it's still useful if it can sweep, if it can still kill Pokemon. A lot of people seem to not understand that concept these past 2 weeks. But PokeRob, that's why you are number 7.
I think it's a fairly good
though.
place, though.
It's a really good place. Yeah, top anything above, like anything like 8 and above, anything really at 10 and above is really good, to be honest. Because top 10 is spectacular. But up next we have Reckless Bat, my boy Reckless, representing Texas, the Texas Tyrantrums. That's what I like to see. You want to talk about his game? That was a cool Gastrodon versus Zapdos 2017.
Okay. So I didn't care about the Gastrodon guys, to be honest. But what I did care about, because both Dark and Reckless did it, was the fact that they both planned for a particular mon, which was Jirachi and Bisharp. They both planned for those mons to face off against each other with a particular berry that reduces the super effective attack. Colbur Berry and we did this last time. Chopple. There we go. I'm glad you remembered it.
I think.
Chopple Berry to reduce the fighting type attack. So, of course, Bisharp is going to go for the knockoff or Sucker Punch, and Jirachi will take the hit. But his Jirachi, we're talking. Yeah, he has the Reckless is the one with the Jirachi, right? I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Yeah. Reckless is the one with the
Bisharp?
Bisharp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I can't even blame you for that, dude, to be honest. I don't even see Jirachi with Drain Punch. Like, I do not see those running around at all. And the fact that it had that and you got hit by it, I can't blame you. Now, the Chapel Berry play was amazing, but I personally don't agree with the time that you set up Stealth Rocks. I'm not a fan of Bishop with Stealth Rocks, but after talking to Aura about it, that is something that, you know, it can be useful or advantageous. But in that situation, I don't think that was the time to set up rocks. I think that you should have 100% tried to knock out the Jirachi at that time. If anything, go for like a combination of knockoff and sucker punch. But like after one drain punch and then you stayed in because like you couldn't have anything else take another one. That was like you lost a really powerful mon. Everyone knows that Bisharp, Swords Dance Bisharp is a monster. Like no one's living stuff that he does. And I don't know why. No one knows why. It's just hey, I'm a knight.
Well, I mean,
kill
they kind
shit.
of are now. Now that Sucker Punch got nerfed a little bit, not as much of a threat.
I don't know, man.
But like, it's still like I see where you're coming from. I do agree with everything that you said. A couple of things I want to add on is there was a little bit of weirdness on his prep. He didn't really have anything for his Zapdos, like a bulky Zapdos at all in his squad. He brought AV Meloetta, which is also weird because it didn't really do anything for him. I don't know what he was preparing for, so I'm not going to really knock him for that. But yeah, he didn't have anything for his Zapdos, so the prep could have been better there. Week 2, though, he brought it back. He did a really good job preserving win cons, outbulking his opponent, knowing he's outbulking his opponent and playing appropriately. A couple misplays put him like not a top 5, like for instance, roosting on the Garchomp, which I didn't really see was appropriate. You could have just outsped it and did more damage or even switched out. I don't think there were Stealth Rocks up at that time because like Garchomp's obviously going to go for EQ. It's like, why wouldn't it? It doesn't lose anything. So yeah, so that play was kind of weird, but overall you played very well, Reckless. Number 5, we're going to actually have Blake, coach of the Baltimore Braviaries. There's not really too much to say about this either. Blake played his games fairly well. Nothing too crazy. He prepped pretty nicely. He won the first game against Fog. Now, I put him down here because there's not really too much to say because Fog did misplay pretty heavily against Blake. And then week 2, he did lose against Ashton. And the thing is, they'll kind of bother me, and the reason why Blake is number 5 is the lack of calcing. He apparently did not calc much at all against Ashton, and because of that put him relatively low because not knowing exact damage, not trying to figure out exact sets, things like that's kind of lazy. You know, you need to be able to do that. But Blake played really well. Like he played fairly safely. He did everything like the way you should, besides the calcing part, which is why Blake is actually going to be number 5. Who's number 4? And how long have we been recording so far?
42 minutes. So we actually got this through this one faster than the week 1 by itself.
The first one? Yeah. Good, because we're trying to speed it up, guys. Sorry if the video is a little bit shorter. Actually, we're not, because I have to go to school real soon. But number 4 is actually going to be Lynx Forte. Sounds like a really cool guy. If you ever want to hit it up, bro, I'm around. But coach of the South Florida Boolers. Go ahead and talk about him.
Okay. So I had to actually get there. Okay, so 2 things. Well, one really big thing, really, and it's like the big thing. Everyone had such good plays week 1. I mean, like there were a lot of fucking wild plays, and this was one of them. Like you'll notice the higher up they're ranked is because like some wild ass play on top of them playing really well. So Lynx had this Z belly drum mag mortar.
Oh,
and that was outstanding because I do not register Mag Mortar as physical. That's number 1. That threw me off. So when you left it in versus Suicune, you're like, hey, I got this. I'm like, nah, dude, this Mag Mortar's gonna do Solar Beam after he Z Belly Drum. Like, that's not gonna do shit. He Thunder Punched the shit. Like that Suicune went to the Shadow Realm back and then back to the Shadow Realm. That's how fast it died. I was like, God damn, I've never seen a Suicune's life bar go down that fucking fast. Oh my
it's
God.
Crazy. Like what's more important about that is that Lynx knew he's not going to be sweeping with his Pokemon. There's no reason for him to preserve this for later in the game. What's important is that he knew something that was going to be a threat to his team. He saw the Suicune. Suicune walled a lot of his team. So he knew right away, okay, Suicune's going to come in on my belly drum. It's fine. He's probably not going to switch out because he doesn't have a reason to. I'm just going to blow away the Suicune, putting me at such a really good position for that whole game that I'm going to be safe to play more comfortably throughout the game. And that's important. He literally took out one of his opponent's wins con just early in the game, just like that, blown away. And that was a genius way to do it. Anyone have anything to say, buddy?
Did we go over his week 2?
Oh, we not yet. I do want to mention one thing before though. The reason why Lynx is like 4 and not higher is the weird Magearna, dude. Magearna, he had HP ground on Magearna. Now I was looking through his opponent's draft. The only reason why I could see bringing HP ground on Magearna is for the Salazzle, which in my eyes is kind of bad because Salazzle's very frail. You don't need to bring a 4 times effective move when you could just hit it throughout the game, no matter how much of a threat it is. Not to mention you're already weak to Salazzle anyway, so you actually have to predict the Salazzle come in to go for it. I mean, going for HP ground on top of Coco, which was week 1, doesn't really mean much because you already have a flash cannon that does just as much after stab. And then, I don't know, it doesn't seem like things like that are necessary. HP Fire would have been infinitely better since... for the most part, Scizor walls Magearna, and it's just been a nice way to tank a hit, kill the Scizor, boom, bam, shabam, all that's done. And if you set up Stealth Rocks too, you could weaken Salazzle since it's weak to Stealth Rocks. There's ways to work around Salazzle. And also, he predicts well. Lynx predicts really well, but he doesn't act on his predictions. Like, for instance, the Mega Zam, or the Sash Zam play, he knew it was coming, but he just didn't do anything about it. So he lit his... I guess he just sacked off his dragon. What's the dragon name? Salamence, that's what it's called.
I was like, which dragon are you talking about? There's a lot of dragons.
There's a lot of dragons. I guess he didn't really need the Mence there. He could have preserved it though, because he has a Chansey in the back that literally Alakazam can't do anything to Chansey. So there's that. Week 2 though, week 2 was weird. It was a good game. He ended up winning the game. He kind of like once again outbulked his opponent. There was a lot of misplays that both him and his opponent made though, that could have costed him the game if his opponent exploited them better. But he did keep his win con alive, which I can never like dock him for that. So that's why we have Lynx Forte at number 4. You have anything else to say about him?
No, I think that's fairly it. Yeah. You talked about the Magearna and the Z-Belly Gem. I talked about that. Those are pretty much the biggest plays, or the biggest things to talk about. Other than that, he played pretty much solidly. And like I said, guys, that match was just really fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a fun match to watch. 3 through 10 was like kind of difficult to figure out.
Yeah. But like there were so many times people could have been placed like for instance, Lynx is number 4, but there were times where he could have been like 5 or 6, and then somebody else could have been 4. But it was tough trying to put you guys in these certain spots.
Yeah, just know that like almost all of you were so close that like it's more of like a little bit of opinion as to why we put you in places, just based on like what we feel like is more important in league format than what somebody else feels like is more important in league format, which is why our list is here. Just know that like anybody, like the list is very, you can take it as you will. You can take it or leave it as you will. But leave comments down below on how you guys feel about the way we've made the list before we get into the top 3. Let us know what you think we could do better. Next week, we should hopefully have like clips and stuff in there. If everybody uploads their battles in time, we should have a little bit more time to like talk about the games and put clips and everything like that. And just know that like this is the definitive list. That's how it is. We're gonna be using this list for next week too, and we're gonna be adding on it. So people are not gonna be moving 3 or 4 spaces away from each other. Probably like 2 or 3 at most. At most, you'll be moving depending on how well or how bad you play. But let us know how you think we've done so far. And we're going to go ahead and move on to top 3. You want to talk about number 3?
Yeah. I hit my mic. Anyway, so Dark Devil is number 3, guys. That's a thing. That's here.
Coach of the Marlboro Mudsdales.
Isn't that a fucking cigarette brand? Dude, are you a cigarette brand team? Like the cigarette team? Or did the cigarette brand endorse you? Because
he's just smoking his opponents.
Oh, you know what? That's a good pun. I like that. I like that a lot. Smoking his opponents. So he's the one with the Jirachi, which had Drain Punch. So I must commend you, my friend. That was that threw me off. Like, not in a bad way, obviously, but it's just something that I don't really see. I don't see a Jirachi with Drain Punch.
Colberberry Jirachi Drain Punch was kind of wild. He was ready. He was ready for that bitch.
He's like, no matter what, I'm popping this Drain Punch off. And that's why I say he brought the Jirachi specifically for Bisharp. And, it's just so much prep was put into that one mon to do this one thing. And there's no telling, because I didn't get to see his team builder, but there's no telling if he had like a specific EV spread to, be able to take at least 2 knockoffs without the Cobra Berry, or even 1 Sucker Punch plus the Drain Punch after he got his HP back. Like, there's so many things that could have been put into that.
It's pretty cool. Like, he played the games relatively well. He kept up momentum, which I feel like was important. He kept his Virizion in the back week 1 because he knew Virizion won. He had that whole he did the whole debacle with Zapdos versus Gastrodon, which was crazy. He did play that pretty well, though. He kept his Zapdos alive. He reacted appropriately to a lot of his opponent's plays. So all in all, that was really good. It's a little bit of like he did a good job scouting for sets, but he didn't do a good job like keeping track of what he was scouting for. So a little bit of that, maybe like write down a list or something like that. Like, for instance, the biggest one was Bandit Azumarill. He didn't even like bother. But Bandit Azumarill kind of did ruin his differential a little bit, which to me, I don't care. I'm not the kind of guy who cares about differential at all. I feel like it's not like the most important thing when it comes to Pokemon. But I guess, it matters in league play, so I'll play along. But like this week 2, he kind of like showed that off as well. Like, he spends a good amount of time scouting his opponent's team so he can map out his way to win with confidence, which I feel like is the best way to play Pokemon. And our opponents, or the other 2 players, are going to be a good reflection of that. So our number 2 spot is actually going to go to my boy Turbo, coach of the Phoenix Midnights, the man with the Togekiss. So you already know he's up there.
Bruh, that's favoritism. And like, Togekiss is...
I'm only putting him up there because he played it really well. I'm kind of mad at him for sacking off Togekiss.
Fuck Togekiss, man.
Togekiss is amazing. You shut your mouth. Anyways, he had such excellent prep. There's nothing that gets to me more than somebody that talks about like their prep that they've made for the team before the battle with such speed, confidence, and like know-how. Like, he just talked about all of his options that he had to play throughout the game. And then he pulled them off while playing the game. And that's more important. Like, he not only did he like make sets to win, he didn't wimp out with those sets. A lot of people do make all these really cool, unique sets. You're just like, oh man, I can do this with this Pokemon. But then they bring it and then they wimp out because they're afraid that it's not going to work as they imagine it to. But Turbo knew what he was doing. He was very confident with all of his plays. He didn't just prep for himself for week 2. He also prepped for his opponent's team. He battled Pat week 1, and he brought the Rest Manaphy, knowing that Pat is going to want to bring Rain to counter his Sand that he was going to bring.
That was wild.
And he took complete advantage of that, rested up, got his health back, woke up appropriate times, tail glowed, broke the team. It was pretty dope. He caught Reuniclus with the trick, with the scarf, so it made Reuniclus kind of useless. He did the same thing week 2, right? Like, he has his win cons ready. He did all of his research, not only on his Pokemon, but on his opponent's Pokemon and what they could do to him, which is like just the second half of prep. A lot of people don't do that second half of prep. They just worry about their own Pokemon, but they don't think about all the cool, unique things that their opponents could bring to win the game. You have anything to say about them?
No.
All right, Turbo. I expect a Togekiss sweep this season.
Fuck Togekiss, man.
So like, make sure it happens. And number 1, I'm about the fanboy, so you take it off.
Okay. So, I think we're both gonna fanboy a little bit. Number 1, obviously, if you guys know your teams or your at least coach names, you'll notice who we didn't say. Ashton Akai is number 1. Coach of the AS Rowlets. I don't know what AS stands for, but that's who he's the coach of, the Rowlets, with his Lycanroc. So we're going to call him Lycanroc Rowlets. Now,
Pokemon. Two Pokemon as the coach, as the team.
Oh man, now I can talk about it. Okay, so Ashton's the one with the Toxapex, and that was by far. I don't want to say it was my favorite, but it was definitely like my top tier wild thing.
You can't be mad at me for liking Togekiss when you love.
Okay, you know what? I'll give it to you. I'll leave Togekiss alone for this one video because I like Toxapex so much. Like Toxapex is so cute, man. It's so cute, and it's a monster, and people have not explored its full potential yet. I mean, come on, dude. Like, what is it, Merciless? And then you have Baneful Bunker, and then you've got all those things to set up poison and just get the crits. Man, I'm telling you, dude, it's already bulky as fuck. You're not gonna kill it in one hit, but I guarantee you it'll kill you before you kill it. Like, I'm just saying, you know? There's like guaranteed crits everywhere. But he didn't even do that. He brought Infestation, and he kept his opponent locked down with Infestation and just sat there with Toxapex. There's nothing else that Toxapex had to do. He's like, hey, you're trapped. Okay, cool, bye. Like, I'm just gonna sit here and like recover in your face and touch you a little bit, and then maybe I'll let you out of Infestation. Psych, just playing, and then you're back in. It was ridiculous, man. I'm telling you, and I loved it. That was just like the biggest thing that I saw from that battle. That was just like, oh man, he's got this. And when you watch it, from the Toxapex play to every other play that he makes in the game, it really feels like he has everything locked down. I guess the only thing that he did that I didn't agree with, and I think you're going to agree with it too, is letting the Garchomp die. But other than that, every play felt calculated to the point where it's like, okay, this is going to happen.
Well, that wasn't his Garchomp. That was his opponent's
See,
Garchomp.
I asked you that earlier, and you said that was his Garchomp.
No, it was the other way
Man,
around.
see, you lied to me.
All right, well, whatever. Anyways, yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. Ashen's both week 1 and week 2 games were so much fun for me to watch. He brought a team that could almost 100% guarantee walling his opponent just completely. He knew how to play around threats. The couple turns into the game, I felt a little bit worried because he kept bringing in Pokemon to get chunked by Sandslash, but he managed to bring it back because he could recover easily. He let himself take leftovers recovery pretty nicely. Infestation recovery nonsense to trap his opponents. Now, there was one thing that he did with Toxapex that did kind of worry me. He clicks. There was at one point in the game he clicked Scald against Electros instead of Recover. Now I feel like that was a bad play because he was worried about his opponent having Wild Charge. Right? So you would think, I guess because he had regen, he felt a little bit more safe. But you would think because of Wild Charge, whatever it's called, recoil, combined with the fact that you're going to be severely weakened if you take it, you would just click recover to get as much health back as possible to continue being a wall and a safe switch into a lot of Pokemon. But he clicked Scald instead. Luckily, his opponent went for Volt Switch, which didn't do as much as he was expecting, and he was managed to recover most of that later in the game. But I don't know, that felt like a bit of a misplay to me. But once again, it felt like an affordable misplay. Overall, enjoyable game to watch. Week 2 game, the way he healing wished back that Celesteela to proceed to sweep, that was wild.
Celesteela is fucking disgusting.
Celesteela is a great Pokemon. Oh man, I know you're not a fan of Celesteela, but you gotta be a fan of the way he played it.
Like
I'll
give him respect, but
he brought Flame Charge. You can't be mad at him bringing Flame Charge.
Okay, I can't, and that was really good. That was definitely really good.
It was an offensive Assault Vest Celesteela. He was able to tank hits. And instead of doing what I was talking about earlier that a lot of players did and sack off a Pokemon at low HP, even though it still had potential to sweep, he's preserved it. He healing wished it back up. He brought it back, and that was just GG. The second that Blake saw that, he knew, oh, well, there goes the game. That's the whole game gone right there. Now, Blake did play very nicely around it, but like, we're not talking about Blake right now. We're talking about Ashton. What else did he do? Like week 1, like he knew he could wall things like Volcanion week 1. He was able to sack. Well, I think he sacked appropriately to bring in the spider to HP ice the Garchomp, which was really nice. He was able to just play around sets. Yeah, I mean, like I don't know. The fact is, Ashen entered this, like, he entered the video. He had like a 5-minute rant about every set that he brought, how it could work for him, how it could cover his team, how it could work his defenses, how he could win that game, and then proceeded to do everything he said to the team. He was able to control the game 100%, and that's why Ashen's actually going to be number 1 this week. and he was number 1 in both our week 1 list and our week 2 list. So good job, Ashton. But that is going to be the very first episode of our power rankings for season 4. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, constructive criticism is greatly appreciated. Please, no negativity in the comments. If you really didn't like something, if you have like a huge problem with something that we said, be sure to let us know, like on Twitter or something like that, like it's a DM of some sort. We don't mean to insult anybody. We really don't. We're just out here giving out constructive criticism, letting you know the misplays that happen so you can see them for the future. Yeah. And I mean, once again, you guys all played extremely well. And we actually look forward to. At first, didn't think I was going to, but after watching the first 2 weeks of games, I look forward to seeing every week of game and being able to do this analysis stuff that I actually really enjoy. So, you got anything to say, Blizz?
I think you pretty much like cleared it out. We were talking about what was I gonna say? Oh, just basically don't take everything to heart, guys. It's really just to help you. If you hear some things and we talk about like I guess a bad play or something that you could have done, don't get mad about it, but take that and take it to the next battle that you have, because we're literally just trying to help you. I mean, that's like bottom line. There's nothing else to it. You'll know if I'm getting your ass because I'm gonna tell it to you. So that's just how I am, man. But Nintendo. Oh wait, no, this will be like out afterwards. Okay, whatever. The Switch comes out tonight, and you're not gonna hear from me for like a while. I'm playing the Switch.
Yeah, but you gotta edit and upload this, dude, as soon as you can.
Oh man, I don't know.
You got it, man. You got it as soon as you can. Just,
you know what?
Spice the audios together.
I'll probably
background picks.
Oh fuck! I was gonna say I'd probably take it with me to your place and edit it there, but I don't want to do that because I'm not packing my PC and I don't want to do it on Mac.
Just bring the Anyways, we're gonna end it here. It's something to talk about personally. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to drop a like if you haven't already. Subscribe to the MPL channel. Subscribe to us in the description down below. We are Orbomb and Ioku on Twitter and on YouTube respectively. And we will see you guys hopefully next week with a fancily edited video if we have the time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like, subscribe, share all the good jazz, and we will see you guys next time.
Later.
Peace.